Hello, my name's Lorna Wagner. I'm the Programme Manager for Careers and Outreach for Maritime UK, and I'm joined this afternoon by two of the exhibitors who are participating in our physical and virtual careers fair. So if I can ask them to introduce themselves first.
Hi, my name is Steve Pills. I'm the Outreach Staff Officer for the Royal Fleet Auxiliary Service. Thank you, Lorna, for inviting us on board this great venue to exhibit the Royal Fleet Auxiliary.
Thank you.
And I'm Jacob McNamee. I'm a Carnival UK cadet, currently studying at Warsash in Southampton.
Okay, we've got a few questions that have come through, so we'll just start with the first one. If we start with you, Steve, what's the best job in the maritime sector?
The best job in the maritime sector? Well, I'm obviously going to say engineering because I'm a marine engineer myself, but realistically speaking, looking at what the maritime sector are crying out for is electrical technical officers, the ETOs. That's the top one, falling shortly behind by the marine engineer, mechanical engineers, and there's also there's great opportunities in logistics, catering, and bridge navigation as well. But I would say the top one, the top priority has got to be ETOs, because with the ETO ticket coming into effect, there's a huge demand out there throughout industry to get these vacancies filled, especially with new tonnage being built and whatnot, certainly in our organisation. Yeah,
okay, brilliant. What about you? What do you think?
I am going to be more biased again because I am an ETO. But as a general idea, engineering in general, it's just amazing to be able to fix things with your hands, to have that sort of self-reward, job satisfaction, to see that what you've done has made the ship work because of your efforts. I have got to give a shout, unfortunately, to the deck department. They do work hard, and they are good at their jobs. And for those that do it, they do love their jobs. I've never had them complain about their jobs, so I have to still stand for the deck department, who are also very, very good.
Come over. We've got some other people that have joined us. If you can maybe come behind. We were just asking, sorry about that, folks. I was just asking everyone to introduce themselves. Could I ask you two to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Rachel Bullock, and I work for Stena Line.
I'm Chris Atter. I'm the Health and Safety Manager at Portsmouth International Port.
Brilliant. That's just proving that we're live, so fantastic. But we're just asking the first question. The first question, and we've all answered it, but what's the best job in the maritime sector? Rachel, should we start with you?
I think it depends, because obviously we've got jobs ship and shore. So obviously on board the vessels, we offer a range. So it's like deck engine, ETO, and then obviously deck engine apprentices. So it really depends on what really you're looking for in the maritime sector. So from my side, I worked in the hospitality industry and then came ashore from hotels. So from my perspective, it would have been obviously hotel, but it really depends if you're interested in more the practical side for deck or engineering practical side, obviously like the engineering sector as well.
Thank you. And what about from you?
For me, I just love the whole industry. I've worked in tankers, dry cargo, passenger ships, ports, legal side, claims. I love it all. There's real fantastic stuff that's happening out there, and a job for everyone. But for me, port captaincy is great. You go overseas, you see a ship loading, you're understanding the different ports, you're travelling lots. Doesn't always work with families, but it's a great job to have.
Fantastic, thank you. So our second question is that one that at the physical fair, we've all been getting asked it this morning. Do you need to have GCSE maths to work in the maritime sector? So we start with Steve and work round.
GCSE maths, it depends on the role you're applying for. We have many apprenticeships that don't require GCSE maths. We'll have cadetships which do require GCSE maths at A.C. or above, or the equivalent, Scottish equivalent as well. And communication apprentices as well, we look for GCSE maths. But we have apprenticeships in catering, in engineering and electrical engineering, and what else? Logistics as well, where you don't require the GCSE maths of A.C.
Okay, so what about Portsmouth International Port?
There's a role for everyone. You might not have a GCSE in maths, but you could have a master's in maths. And there's something there for everyone to do. As an industry, we're very good at supporting people to give them the right skills to make sure that they can do the jobs and fulfil what they want to do and their ambitions.
Brilliant, thank Rachel.
So it's very similar to the other companies as well. So at Stennerline, we offer the cadetships as well as the apprenticeships. So we would always encourage people to make sure they get the National 5 Maths, English and Science. Especially if you're going down the officer cadet route, it is a minimum criteria. So if you're looking, if that's something that you don't gain the National 5, there is an apprentice program, Deck and Engine, where it's not required and you will do the Maths and English as part of the course academically. But yeah, certainly for an officer cadetship, we would always encourage, especially if you're going for jobs ashore as well, encourage to get a National 5 minimum Maths, English and Science.
From your perspective?
So as a cadetship, you do require a GCSE or equivalents in maths, level I think it's 4 to 9 or C to A, and that's what you do need that, because going forward, everything whether it's navigational or engineering, it will have some sort of foundation of maths underneath it. If you go for the H&D sort of route, they'll bring you to the level you need a little bit slower, and if you're a foundation degree or degree level, you kind of expect you to already have that, but they'll still give you the foundations you need.
Perfect. So the answer is yes, really, you
Yeah,
need to
pretty
do
much.
maths, but if you don't get it at school, there's opportunities to maybe pick up those qualifications later along. Now this is a funny question that was asked by a child this morning. Do you have to work on Christmas Day? Should I start with you, Steve?
I've worked many Christmas days, yes. But if you're working over the Christmas and over the festive period, generally, if you're working Christmas Day, you'll get New Year's Day off, and vice versa. If you have to work New Year, you'll get Christmas off. It's not all bad. It's pretty quiet, and it's minimal tasking, general important duties only. Otherwise, you're pretty much stood down for the festive period. Unless something goes horribly wrong down the machinery space, then unfortunately everybody has to muck in.
Christmas Day or otherwise.
Yeah.
At the port?
A lot of ports close for Christmas Day, and it does depend where you are and some of the cargoes that you're handling. I have worked Christmas days, but I've had many off, and when I have worked, it's always been on a voluntary basis. So you don't have to, but there is often a need to.
What about you, Rachel?
So I would say very much the industry is a 24/7 industry, so you are expected to work, all the events, Christmas, New Year. At Stennerline, our ports, our ships don't actually run on Christmas Day, but we will have, a minimum number of manning on board the ships. So you will be working the Christmas Day. So very similar again to the other companies. One Christmas you would work, then potentially you'd get the next Christmas off. We would do it in a full rota to make sure you're not working every single Christmas. But like when you're working on board, I've worked many Christmases myself. You do get used to working Christmases on board the ship. There is great teamwork, and they do try and help with missing the families and things like that. So yeah.
What about from your point of view?
So I work on cruise ships, so I can give that sort of perspective. It depends what you're rotation on. If you're rotated to be on a ship during Christmas, you will work Christmas and New Year's if you have to. But the advantage of being on a cruise ship is if you've got friends and family that you want to bring along, there is a possibility to bring them out to sea. So even though you're not at home for Christmas, you can kind of bring home a little bit closer to you. But it's never been an issue. Anyone I've ever spoke to that's worked through Christmas says they make it fun on board, and you can enjoy it. And before you know it, you tend to be home, and you can have a second Christmas when you're home anyway.
Now we're a little short of time, so last question. I'm just going to ask you each to tell me what your career highlight has been to date. So Steve?
It most definitely has to be visiting those parts of the world that you would never normally see or couldn't even book a holiday at. Of particular note has got to be the remote islands in the centre of the Atlantic, which are Tristan da Cunha, St Helena, Ascension. Fantastic places, non-westernised, brilliant culture. And then just visiting all those little islands in the Caribbean as well when we're doing humanitarian disaster relief efforts, so when we've been out there. So seeing those different areas you would never see before and the different cultures is definitely has to have been the highlight of my career.
Fantastic. And you?
Travel again is a big factor. It's brilliant. It opens up the world. I've visited Petra, the pyramids, the main mosques in Istanbul because I've had jobs there and thereabouts. And that's something that you do get an opportunity to do, as well as meeting people from those cultures and working with them. And it just opens your eyes to how different the world is, but how interesting it can really be.
Very, very similar. So for somebody again who's travelled quite a bit with other shipping companies, just the opportunity of going to different ports, different places that you would just never ever do if you were to work just shore based. So certainly like potentially going up the Amazon River, anything like that, that's what we did with Carnival. So definitely the travel, obviously the money that you earn as well, and obviously the great teamwork as well, working on board with great people.
Just with you then.
For myself, I've not really had much of a career so far. COVID obviously has taken a lot away from me, but we had an amazing moment. We were in Manila Bay in the Philippines, and there's probably, I think, something like 30 ships there, and everybody was kind of in this moment of like, I can't remember why, but everyone hit the horns, and it was kind of a moment of unison, and everybody was like, kind of like bonded together in that moment. So that was nice.
Something not to forget.
Yeah, oh yeah, I won't forget that. That's for sure.
That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. That's the end of our live session. I'm sorry, did you two get lost on me?